go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to your Monday night news show. Breaking news show, should I say. Topics on your screen, people. Wayne Rooney and Gary Neville slam Man United and slam Ruben Amorim. We will get into their quotes straight away. New stadium approved by the council. Simon Stone reporting that recently. We'll get into that. Stadium spelt wrong. Nice one, Nick. Sunderland is Sunderland, should I say, at Ruben Amorim's last game. We'll discuss the prospects of that and how the preparations are going to be heading towards that. And also, we've got a little bit of transfer news as well involving Ruben Neves and a short list of players who are currently available, going to be available on a free, either in the January window or the summer window. But yeah, lads, the Rooney and Gary Neville thing was obviously going to be the headline-grabbing thing. Two former players, who've been hugely successful at Manchester United, and two players with very strong feelings. We'll start with Wayne Rooney's quote, which was on his podcast with the BBC, saying that all day I think about this. Should I say it or keep it quiet? But I feel like I have to. What's going on at Manchester United? This isn't Manchester United. I don't recognise the whole club. I don't see players fighting. I don't see character. I don't see a desire to win. I don't see ability. I don't see decisive players who amaze me with their performances. I think there needs to be a clear message from the owners, whether that's the Glazers, whether that's Radcliffe, whether that's whoever. There has to be a message of where this club is going, because at the minute, we're all sitting there waiting for it to crumble, which really, really strong words from Wayne Rooney. Thoughts on that, Shreyas, hearing that quote? Did it resonate with you?
Yeah, in a way, because, see, the thing is, the performances aren't getting better when it comes to results. We can, all look at the numbers all day long that we've done this, we've done that, the chances are there and everything is there, but it's not converting into points on the table. It's not converting into convincing performances against teams like Brentford, against teams like Burnley, and you would want your team to at least be able to put somewhat, of a reasonable performance against teams like these who, against other teams, have been in quite a struggling phase. And when it comes to Brentford, I think they've won only 3 of their last 15 Premier League home games combined from last year's as well. And United being third, United are the two, both the times that they played United at home, they've beaten them out of the 3 games that they've won at home in the past 15 games. It's not been great when it comes to United. And the problem with, most of it is that we are seeing the same things persist over time. Like the problems that we've seen in the game against Arsenal, or the problems that we saw in the games against City. We see those problems going into every single match day, and they are not getting resolved. And another problem about it, obviously, is you're not getting your best players on the ball enough. You're not even, able to, the players who would, you would say that will have an impact on the game, or maybe, if you're able to get them involved a whole lot more, maybe they can influence the game in somewhat of a positive way, but you're not even able to get them as much involved in the game. And considering how much that we, spent in getting this new attack in, I don't think that we've seen enough out of this attack, or any sort of, metric where you can say these 3 these 3 players combined last year got like 80 goal contributions.
He's asking for a clear message there, Sam, from the owners, Ineos or the Glazers. He's wishing on a star. He thinks fucking Avram's going to pop up with a social media post or something. So we'd expect it more, obviously, to come from the Ineos side of things. But do they need to send a clear message? Do you agree with that?
I mean, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? But in reality, it's not going to happen, is it? They're just going to back him until they sack him. Like, that's how it works. Like, the dreaded vote of confidence is a real cliche, isn't it? You hear managers all the time, they're under pressure, and the owners say, no, he's got our full confidence, and then he's gone in a matter of weeks. I'm sure that happened to Graham Potter recently, that he was literally in a press conference and he was sacked within hours after the press conference. So, like, I doubt that Ineos are going to come out and be like, yeah, we're not happy with him and all this sort of stuff. They're going to back him until it comes to the point where it's inevitable they will let him go. So I don't expect to hear from Ineos we all knew that they weren't. Sir Jim Radcliffe wasn't a fan of Ten Hag, and Dan Ashworth was backing him, and all this sort of stuff. They ended up giving him a new contract, and then he was gone within a few games. Like, and that letter and that message that they wrote when he got a new contract, we're delighted to have him and keep him, blah blah blah. And then he was gone within a couple of games. So yeah, even if they did come out with something, you could only sort of trust it as far as you could throw it. So I wouldn't expect them to come out. Would it be nice? Yeah. But with the amount of media speculation, the amount of headlines that get wrote about United, it would just fuel the fire, wouldn't it? It would just cause chaos. So I wouldn't expect it.
It's almost like this is like the opposite end of thinking, but you wouldn't advertise a robbery if you was going to do it. It's like saying, "Oh, by the way, we're not going to rob your shop." That would increase speculation even more, right? If you say, "Oh, by the way, we're not going to sack him," and then someone pulls up and goes, "No one said," or like, "What do you mean no one's going to sack him?" And then people make a thing out of it.
The Krusty the Clown thing, innit? It's you say the loud part quiet and then the quiet part loud.
Yeah,
it's just like, let's just say the movie moved me to a bigger house. He's like, oh shit.
And also, I think Omar Barada, to be fair to him, has been pretty strong in his communication whenever when they do these kind of quarterly results or whatever it is. And the majority of the time you see in the quotes, we're continuing with the coach, these kind of phrases. And so there's been a form of communication, but I just don't want to think they want to do it outright. And everyone can see what's going on anyway. It's not like it's a secret. We can see the performances on the pitch. We know something isn't right. It's whether they make a decision or not. Now, Shreyas, Gary Neville spoke as well on the Gary Neville podcast. Very inventive name. And he spoke about...
Do you reckon they went to marketing for that one? It's like, right, we need some names for this podcast.
Gary Neville podcast.
It's got Gary Neville on it. It's about football. And it's a podcast, like, come back to me. And then they came back about 2 days later, went, Gary Neville podcast?
Fuck it. Yeah, let's just go with that. So, yeah. And he was, like his name of his podcast, he was very straightforward. He said he thinks the players are giving up on the system, looking at the body language, looking at their results. He said playing Mason Mount at left wing back is awful and should never, ever be allowed. He changes the back three and the back five constantly every single match, and to get reliability and continuity in the back five, you can't be chopping and changing every single game. It's not clicking at all. And he might as well have said, I would get rid of Ruben Amorim, because the way his body language was, and if you listen to what he was saying and how he was going about it, it feels like he wants to say it, but he'll never ever say it, because Neville has actually been out and said, I will never call for a head coach, I'll never do it. But you could tell, listening to him, listening to Rooney, you could just tell, can't you, that they feel like this isn't right. It's going to take a special manager to get us back to the glory days, isn't it, with how it is at the minute.
It's not even about, the thing is, I just want to see us have at least some sort of relevance in this sort of, in the setup when you're going up against teams like Palace, your Brightons, your Brentfords. And what has been happening at United for the past 3 seasons is any single team, in the Prem can come to United and take points off us. And that has been the case for 3 years pretty much now. Last year was shocking. Before that, under Ten Hag as well, it wasn't a decent season. We somehow scraped and got an 8th finish in the Prem and won the FA Cup. But it wasn't, it was a tough watch. It wasn't easy for us to go through that season itself. And even now, I would still say there is still a lot of time left, in the season. It is still early days. The table is still quite, compact when it comes to the points distribution. Anyone, even now, if they go on a run of like 3 to 4 games, get some decent results, this table can change a whole lot, I would say, in the next 3 to 4 games. But United do need to act on it quick, because if they think that they can stick with Amorim till Christmas and then pull the plug like they did last year with Ten Hag, it is too late by then for someone to come in already in a pressure situation that, you're not performing well. Then you need to get these players to a different sort of a system, to a different sort of an identity. It's not going to be easy. So I think rather than waiting on Amorim's results to get even worse, I think it is probably, I kind of agree to the fact that, you need to make a change, because it certainly isn't clicking at all when it comes to these players. And it is visible on their faces as well after a point that even the players actually don't know how to come back into the game, or how to, actually even, just cut apart through teams. Because against Brentford, the press was uncoordinated. It didn't look, like this, the 11 that was on the pitch was behaving like a team at all. it was 11 individuals playing on the field, just waiting for something to happen.
We've got Ali Williams joining us in the chat saying, "Evening, chaps. Been a few weeks since I've caught you live, and what a painful few weeks it's been. The Brentford game seems to have been the turning point for a lot of people. I'm hesitant to say I want Amorim out, but now find it hard to see how he turns things around. He looks broken." T2 as well in the chat saying, "Any well-organised and physical team beats us. There's no magical formula. You just keep it tight till we inevitably shit the bed. Then take your chances and hit on the counter." You can't really disagree with anything that's been said there, can you, Sam? And also with what Gary Neville's saying as well.
No, and several managers have laid it out in post-match interviews. Michael Silver at Fulham laid it out. I think Iriola's laid it out. A bunch of teams have laid it out. I think, who was it about the Luke Shaw one? Basically, I can't remember which manager it was, but he basically said, we knew there'd be space on our right-hand side, their left, because when Dorgu moves up to attack, there's space in behind Luke Shaw, and he's not quick enough to get across to cover it, so we knew we could exploit it. Like, if it's that simple, then it's that easy. Like, if they know it, everybody else knows it. So if you got, like Ali said, if you got any sort of decent organisation about you, you should be able to beat us. That's why people are going, no, we'll win Sunderland at home. I don't think we will, because if everybody else knows it, they definitely know it.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be easy, and I don't see Amorim drastically ripping the team up and changing individuals, because I've been calling out like several individuals that they shouldn't be playing, and they continue to get chances and they continue to play. So I don't have any confidence that it changes in that. So yeah, if other teams could work you out within a matter of games, that's not good. It's not good at all. Like Leicester won the league with a very simple sort of philosophy, but it took a whole season for teams to work them out before. Then it was the following season after they won it where they worked them out and they managed to mitigate them. If it's a full season, then yeah, cool. You said, but the same with Pep. Like, teams started to work Pep out, and he changed things and he moved things and he did something different. Amorim just doesn't seem to do that. It's like, no, I'll play this way, and I'm going to play this way until either A, I get sacked, or it works. That seems to be the philosophy.
This is where I'm conflicted, though, because the fact that, okay, you consider the possibility that the players are starting to give up on the system, and you can tell that by the body language and results and these kind of things. But I'm conflicted because it's almost like giving in to what the players want. Because I also don't believe the players are good enough either.
But that's the thing we've been saying. There's so many, like, I know we got rid of a bunch of players, but there's still players there that should not be there. Like, Lindelof only just left in the summer. Diego Dallas should not be at this club. Luke Shaw should not be at this club. Harry Maguire was on my list as well, but I think he deserves a bit of a berth for the resurgence that he's had, so I'll take him off the list. But there's players at this club, like Altay Bayindir should not be our number one goalie. Just shouldn't be. Like, we saw it. We've already seen it. He's not good enough.
Well, why bring in Le Mans and not play?
That's what I mean. That don't make sense, does it? It's like, why would you buy a goalie and then play Bayindir? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And then Luke Shaw, Diego Dallo, people like that, they need to be gone. But they're still here. And they'll probably still be here when the next manager comes in and he gets sacked. They'll still be here.
And it's like, as well, Shreyas, something to consider. If you're not going to play him in the big games, then why go through the stress of bringing him in? Why not go for a more experienced one? Like, two keepers in Donnarumma and Martinez, both available. I know the wages would have been slightly chunkier, but why? Do you think the theory is behind bringing in Le Mans, or do you think he's just slowly integrated? Because he might not even get a game underneath it. Do you remember when we bought Euro? And Euro didn't even play for Ten Hag? You might get a case of that, in which a new coach comes in and then you're back to square one again.
To get the signing on the pitch before they get sacked. I personally wanted him to start against City, like when I said it, because Bayindir doesn't give me any sort of confidence. And in that Brentford game, he didn't provide that backline with any sort of comfort either. So I think rather than going with Bayindir week in and week out, I think it would be better to go with Le Mans, because like you mentioned, he's a youngster for sure, but he needs the minutes, he needs the experience. And if you're just waiting for that game against Liverpool and put him up, at Anfield as his debut game, you're not doing him any favors.
Yeah, it's It's going to be, you either start him against Sunderland, and then if you don't start him against Sunderland, Liverpool at Anfield when you get back from the international break, it's just going to be absolute hellfire for him. So I'm confused with this lack of continuity, this lack of picking certain players, this leaving people on the bench, but then rotating people where you don't really need to make substitutions at the times you're doing it. Like, everything seems to be all a big giant confusion, and no one really knows what's going on, and maybe the players feel like that as well.
It's like for like subs as well. Like, he doesn't change anything in game. Like, certain managers, they'll be like, all right, I need to get more attackers on the field. So they'll sacrifice a defender, or they'll pull a midfielder off and they'll stick an attacking player on. All these subs are like for like. So it's like a centre-back for a centre-back, a forward for a forward, a midfielder for a midfielder. So nothing really changes. It's like all you're doing is changing the personnel. You're not changing the tactic. You're not changing the way we approach it. You're not changing any of that stuff, which is not going to affect the game really. Apart, like, it's like the Ollie thing when he was like under pressure and stuff. We were just hoping for a moment of quality, weren't we, from certain players like Bruno or Ronaldo and stuff. That seems to be, we've gone back to that. We're just hoping Bruno does something. And it's just like, how long can you continue with that on? Like, it's a joke at this point.
Yeah. Back into the comments, let's see what people are saying. Sunderland are a physical and well-organised team, ergo, ... Tim99, hot take. Do you think being relegated would help? It would force a complete reset. I just don't want to be relegated in any capacity, to be honest with you.
I don't think it would help either.
No, I don't think it would help.
Honest.
No.
If he got rid of the Glazers, I'll be all for it. If they left.
That's the one time I would consider it. But in reality, when you say that and then you go into the season and you're struggling against fucking Plymouth and teams like that, is it really what we think it'd be? Le Mans will play after the international break. That's from Happy Life. I actually think people would be more patient if Ruben played Kobe, Heaven, Yoro, Ahmad. Sadly, he won't. We've seen this dance before. I'd love Ruben to turn it around, but he won't. Teddy Morning saying, bro, Amorim is crap. He puts a centre mid at left wing back. Chivy saying, if we got relegated, we wouldn't make it back up. That's spot on. And he put Mbumo at right wing back against Brentford. That one I don't mind as much because he's played wing back for Brentford before, ironically. The Mason Mount one was really bizarre, which is what he's done before.
Yeah. He's done it twice.
Yeah, it's strange one. But anyway, we'll move on from Ruben Amorim because we've got a bit of news in regards to the new stadium. So the transformation of Old Trafford area has been approved by Trafford Council and Greater Manchester Combined Authority. So Jim Ratcliffe wants a new stadium to be a central part of the plans. I jokingly put, Sam, in the chat that we'll officially have the best stadium in the Championship. This stadium looming at the minute, it felt like a really good idea at the time, but now you look at it results and where we could be in the pit and financial things, it doesn't really feel great, does it? I know it sounds weird, but
it's like the sort of, we spoke about it yesterday, the revolving credit facility that they extended. They've basically put a bet on that we will make it into Europa or Champions League, so that this extension that we can then pay back with the income that we get from Champions League rights and all that sort of stuff. Similar to what a stadium is like. We're planning to build this mega stadium in hopes that in 5, 6, 7 years we will be back towards the top and competing for stuff. Like, my brother says we're going to compete for a title in 2028, which would be like 2 years before the stadium is finished. It's all a risk, man. And the way it's going right now, I know it doesn't take that long to reverse your fortunes and come back, but the way it's going right now doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, not looking good, bruv, as a famous man once said. It's interesting when we look at the financial ramifications of this, Shreyas. All these things that they seem to be doing, whether it's the credit facility with the transfers and whether it's they're relying on getting European football and they don't know where they're going to be in a year's time or 2 years' time, to bring in what's going to be, I think, a £2 billion stadium, was it? Or like close to that's how much it's going to cost?
They always go over budget, though, don't they?
Yeah.
They always go over budget.
So call it a £2 billion stadium. It just doesn't feel realistic at the moment, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't, because even if you do get that stadium, you're not playing anywhere near to the level of football that you should be playing. And I don't expect fans to put up with this sort of a structure or this sort this sort of performances on a consistent basis, week in and week out for like 2 to 3 years, I think there definitely will come a time where you will see people not wanting to go to see the club. If this sort of football persists, I can actually see that happening. I think right now is definitely a tough time for all the for all Manchester United fans. But the the bigger problem that I have is that in the bigger picture, I just don't see how it gets better. Like definitely, in this team, there are some decent players and everything, but like you said, we need a manager to come in and actually, sort this team out from the ground up, because we thought Amorim could do that job. And in fairness, I think he has been backed quite well by the board as well, but it just doesn't seem to click. And what I want is right now, if Amorim does get sacked and we get a new manager in, I want someone who can come in, who can at least show us something that this team has actually got somewhat, of a level that they can compete in the Prem, and not for mid-table or like 14th or 15th, but actually be there in like the top 6 positions, because we need someone who can adapt. We need someone who actually knows that, you cannot be focused on just one single philosophy and not deviate from it at all week in and week out, especially when you're playing in the Prem where there's no easy games. Every single team will be looking to come at you to get points, and it's one of the most competitive leagues in the world. So you cannot fixate on just one sort of philosophy and then expect to get like 80 to 85 points out of it.
I put on X the other day, Sam, on our account, a great manager isn't remembered for dying on his sword, but for sharpening it, adapting, evolving, and finding new ways to win. Surely, as a manager reflecting on that, if he did lose his job, you'd be looking back at it saying, why not change? One game, why not try something different? Why not tweak it? What credit do you get from dying on your sword? Do you know what I mean?
Well, plenty of people do it, don't they? Plenty of people do. Like they refuse to change, and they're like, "No, I'm right. Everybody else is wrong." And then they'll make excuses. Of, "Oh, there was this thing that happened, and oh yeah, this happened, so that's why it didn't." And they'll make excuses, and they'll say, "This is why." I'm sure Ten Hag is still in his head thinking, if I got certain things, if I got this, if this happened, then it would have worked. I'm sure he feels that way. But like you said, your quote that you mentioned, like sharpening sword, adapting, all that sort of stuff. You look at the greatest manager of all time, Sir Alex Ferguson. He just was constantly innovating, adapting, changing things, making new teams, bringing in new players, knowing when certain players were too far past it and moving them on. And all he did was get stick from people, and people would say, "Oh, he's past it" and stuff. And he just continued to be successful and continue to innovate, continue to change it. That's the example of how you become a great manager. Like you said, adapt, changing, doing something new, trying to, like, he wasn't always successful. There were certain years where we didn't win something, or certain years where he was slightly off it, and he'd be like, all right, cool, that didn't work. This is what I need to do, change that. And then within a year or two, he was back and he'd won the title, or he'd win a Champions League or whatever. Pep is a similar way. Jurgen Klopp, to a lesser extent. Jose Mourinho in his pomp. That was what he was about. So yeah, we need a manager like that, but those managers are few and far between at the minute, it seems.
Well, looking ahead to the Sunderland game, Shreyas, there's a couple kind of updates on that, saying the United squad were given a day off on Monday. Preparations ahead of Sunderland set to step up once they return to training on Tuesday. Ruben Amorim's preparing as normal for United's game against Sunderland. He has been given no indication that he'll not be on the touchline at Old Trafford next weekend, and the United players are astonished by how quickly they have spiralled this season. They were genuinely optimistic about having a successful season, but uncertainty already surrounds the future of Ruben Amorim. United have no one lined up to replace him. And just some statistics for you as we head into this game. 33 games, 9 wins, which is a 27% win rate, 7 draws, 17 defeats, 34 points in total. If he loses to Sunderland, he's got to go, hasn't he? Surely.
For me, I was done after Brentford.
I know people will say, but I mean, like, you talk about the owners making a decision, crunch time, international break, all these things have to factor in it, surely.
It has to, but they won't do it. I don't think they do it.
Purely because of the compensation thing, or just because it's their man?
Both of them.
Yeah.
Because I think Ineos do realize to a point that they're facing a lot of backlash from the fan base right now, and in to a certain extent, if you do sack the manager and get someone else in, I think it would help them out a lot. But I don't think they perceive it in that way, because after Dan Ashworth and after the things that have been going on, in and around the club, after how they've backed the manager, and then Ruben Amorim being their guy who they have brought in, and then it not working out at all. It's not a good look for a new management to come in, and then considering the fashion that Ruben Amorim has been here for, like you mentioned, 33 games and 9 wins. I don't think a manager survives even half of that timeline at any other club in the Prem. I think Amorim is quite lucky for the time that he's got at the club, but I think he should be gone. And again, that international break can come quite handy, because by the time you're back, the next, the new manager is already settled in and you're ready to go into the season. But I don't think that they do it. I think even if they do it, I think they'll wait it out till Christmas like they usually do, because I think if they sack him, they'll do it the same way they did with Ten Hag.
I'm aware, Sam, none of us have our UEFA B licenses or anything like that. But if you were the manager, not yet. If you were the manager heading into this game on the weekend, what changes would you make personally?
I mean, there's a couple of stuff like you could do. Like 3 in the midfield is a big one. I think that 2 in the midfield just doesn't work. Like it doesn't, and I refuse to believe that it can. Even with Belieber, I don't know if it would. Play people in their correct positions. So put Bruno in the 10 if you're going to play him. Don't force him into the team in the 8 if you have to get him in the team and play someone else in the 10. Go to a back 4. I think we'll be more comfortable with a back 4. Put Le Mans in. I just don't think Bay India is the right one. And then drop people who are playing in poor form. So Luke Shaw has to be dropped. Like he's been poor, so drop him from the team. I just think there's a bunch of stuff you could do. Just do something. Like it don't have to be what I said, but just do something different. Do something that shows us you're aware that your system and the way you want to play is not working, and you're trying to change it and you're trying to do something else. Because then fans might get behind you. Even if you do lose, fans might get behind you. Go, at least he's trying to do something. He's recognised it. Probably a little late, but at least he's trying to do something. But he's not gonna, is he? He's just isn't.
No. And as we all know, it's not like we can bring in any more players now, or bring in a midfielder, bring in it's just that you've got to deal with the crop of players that you've got, and this is why I'm pretty sold on it's just not going to work, because a coach's job is to get the best out of players, and as I touched on it yesterday, the defense hasn't got better, the midfield hasn't got better, and the attack hasn't got better after spending 200 million, and we're still talking about the goalkeeper.
Do you know what's worse as well? The attack, in terms of talent and ability, is better than what it was.
I agree. That's my point.
But it's not reflecting,
and we've got worse. And we've got worse, which that's baffling. Is that how can you upgrade the talent and get better players and have 3 forwards who've got 60 goals between them, and we're not scoring anything? Like, what is going on?
Because I'm seeing they're the new players and it takes time to gel, and I'm like, Gyökeres and Eze are linking up on the pitch and scoring and getting assists.
Tottenham. Kudus at Tottenham, smashing it.
So, and I believe 3 of them, by the way, are all really talented players.
Yeah,
I think under
the
a
numbers
different
back
coach,
them. The numbers back them up.
I think they can cause problems for any team, but we're just not seeing it at the minute. And I think a part of that, or a huge part of that, is the system. You've got one of your most talented players in Kobbie Mainoo, and he's not even getting into the team. Yeah.
Like he's playing 5 minutes off the bench. This is a guy who stormed on and became one of our most important players. I'm not saying he has to play every game, because I don't think any player has the right to play every game, but he has to be playing more than he is. When he's that talented, he's got that ability to game change. Like he's changed games for us. He was important to England and stuff. You have to get him in the team. Why is Yoro been sat on the bench for the last 2 games?
Bizarre,
he's not injured. Why is he sat there? What's going on there? Why is he not playing? I don't understand it. I really don't. Why is Diego Dallo continuously played when he's been poor? He's been so poor, and he's continuously just gets in the team. I don't make sense.
What worries me is even if they went to a back 4, And then midfield, I still think there would be teething issues. Like, I think if you go back to a back four and you're playing Dorgu as a, like, I think defensively he could be suspicious at times. I think we've seen that in quite a few games. I think he's an athlete and he can get back and forward, but pure defending, I don't think he's top level at all. Just my opinion.
I think it'd mitigate things though. It's stop a lot of holes that are happening right now. It wouldn't be perfect, but it definitely would mitigate things.
It depends how you go about it. I think if you're going to switch to a 4-2-3-1, if you're going more pragmatic and counter-attacking, maybe. But then it's like, well, how much longevity is in that? Because we had that style under Ole, and it's just like
that's
when we
what I'm saying.
The smaller teams.
He needs to get some results right now.
Yeah,
stabilize the job. Just get results right now and stuff. And then you can start, once you get a couple of wins under your belt and you've stabilized things, then you can start bringing stuff in. Not the system that obviously is not working right now, but maybe you adapt it and change it to something else. But he's got to stabilize. He's got to get results in at this point. Like, that's his only option.
Who deserves to stay on the pitch in your opinion, Shreyas? Who's done good enough despite the system?
I think Euro has, definitely. I think he's been a bright light through preseason and in the starting games of the season as well. I think Mbumo and Cunha definitely deserve a shout. I think Mount, for that matter, even deserves a shout, because the only time I've seen the press work is when Mason Mount and Cunha have been on the field. The moment you pick one of these guys out, the press is non-existent. But besides that, I think Delict is one who deserves a shot. But I think apart from like 4 to 5 players, there's not much to look at. And, you're not going to be saying that, these guys deserve a shot.
Yeah, I agree. Just lastly, we'll touch on the transfer news. I'll get back into the comment section in a minute. Graham Bailey, Sam linking us with Ruben Neves, and apparently United could try and sign him in January. He's considered one of the best signings in the Saudi League. I know you was a fan of him anyway when he was in the Premier League at Wolves, and he was cooking and scoring bangers against us, as most players do. Someone worth having a look at, do you think?
Depends on the price, doesn't it? It's like, how much is he going for? Obviously, despite what people claim on the internet, most of us don't watch the Saudi League on a week-to-week basis. And the people who were talking about Le Mans and claiming they knew all about him, they were watching the Belgian League, you're fucking liars. So I don't watch it, so I don't know if he's been good. I don't know what his thing. Obviously, the level of Saudi League is a lot lower. So has he still got that high ability that he had when he was at Wolves and stuff? I don't know, and stuff. But yeah, if theoretically if he's got the ability that he showed at Wolves still, and he's available at a good price, then yeah, why not? Like we need midfield bodies. Like, we've let Toby Collier go. Sekou Kone I thought might make it into the first team, but he obviously had that massive head injury, didn't he? So he's currently out, I think. That's another thing about Ten Hag. What's happened to the youth introduction? Why are we not playing? Amram, sorry, yeah. Why are we not playing any more youth players anymore? Like, what's happened there? I don't get it. Like, he did it at Sporting. He brought youth players through and was Aiden
Is anyone you're alluding to specific? Oh, yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, like Aiden Heaven. Like, he's not had anything. We sent Harry Amas on loan to Sheffield Wednesday. Diego Leon. It was the guy who's he's not got any time. We sent Toby Collier away. I think we're a little bit short in midfield, personally. And he's not got his thing. Sekou Kone obviously got a head injury. We've been told Shea Lacey's ready. We've been told Bentito Mentato's ready. We've been told all these players are ready to go. Jack Fletcher, none of them have got near the first team. None of them. So that worries me as well.
Funny story, actually, just reminded me. I had some work done the other day outside the house on the gas, and the gas man who did it, his son is best mates with Bendito Montato.
Oh, really?
Because I was watching the game at the time, the game against Brentford. He was like, "What score is it, mate?" Blah blah blah. And I got talking to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my son plays for United." I can't remember the name that he said. I hadn't heard of him personally. Yeah. Sorry. But he was like, yeah, he travels with Bendito Montato, he's good friends with him, and blah, blah, blah. And was chatting to him like how much of a incredible player he is. He's watched him close up live, and he thinks he's got huge potential. Sorry, that just reminded me of the thing. But yeah, I agree. I mean, sometimes as well, it's an easy chip to kind of get you on board with the fans as well, innit? When you play youth or you put someone on. I mean, what has Aiden Heaven done wrong necessarily, apart from the Grimsby game where he was fucking terrible?
I mean, everybody was shit.
But everyone was shit.
Yeah.
Like, what much more can you do when you look at Luke Shaw's performances at the moment, Shreyas? It's kind of like, why can't you drop him? Because they're playing shit anyway, right?
This is a big question because not just Luke Shaw. Why is Binder playing still?
Yeah.
Why? I don't know what sort of idea or what sort of plan he has in his head, but it's certainly not working. And one thing with Luke Shaw has always been since he's come back is he's lost a yard of pace. When it comes to the 50-50s, he doesn't aggress at all because I think there is something in the back of his mind going that if I do it, maybe I pick up another injury.
Yeah.
So he hesitates a lot. And when you have so many factors going into the game in your head itself, other teams are going to make the most of it. And we've seen it a lot of times that, in 50-50 scenarios or in certain scenarios, Luke Shaw plays too casually on the pitch. And other players who are a bit more aggressive or active, they are able to make the most of those opportunities and capitalize on it, which actually hurts us a lot. So I think Aiden Heaven should have been getting more minutes. I think Lenny Yoro should never have been dropped in the first place from this team as well. I think he was doing quite fantastic. And I just don't know with what sort of idea. I still don't understand why Ugarte is being played every single week ahead of Kobe Mainoo in that midfield, because I think this midfield in itself is quite imbalanced. So if he's trying to put in, Bruno and Ugarte to balance out that midfield, it's not going to work anyways. At least get someone in, who's actually good on the ball. So maybe, you can at least work something out. So there are a lot of players who should have been more. Xerxes should have been more involved in the, in the past few games as well. You need this attack definitely in the past few games needed someone who can hold the ball up, play others and link up the play. And Xerxes been getting 5 to 10 minutes, just like Kobe Mainoo.
He doesn't rate him, does he? I mean, he clearly doesn't rate him.
Yeah. So I still don't understand, what sort of formation or what sort of an idea he's got in his head, but it's clearly not working. And I still believe that at least we've got some players, or at least, somewhat even 3 to 4 players in this club who can, if you are able to get them involved enough in the game, I think you can at least beat teams like Brentford.
Well, there was, I don't know if it was you, Sam, or it might be you, Shreyas, I'm not sure. It was in the chat. And they put a list of midfielders out of contract in 2026.
It was me. Yeah, I sent it through.
Frankie de Jong. I'm not going to say Bernardo Silva because no. Bentancur, Timber, Brandt, Neves, Basuma, Goretzka, McKennie, Janelt, Garner, Milinkovic, Savic, Haidara, Fabinho, Kessie, Jensen, Casemiro, Brozovic, Lerma, and Pellegrini.
Haven't we been linked with every single one of them?
Majority of them. Yeah. I mean, for sure, I would say 75% of them we've been linked with. But when you hear any of them names, could that be maybe something in the market we could look at?
100%. De Jong, we could finally have that graphic. Here we go, Frankie de Jong to United that I worked on about 3 years ago. Yeah, we could finally do that. I think Brozovic was really good when he was in Serie A. I don't know how he's been playing since.
Yeah, very slow
34,
now.
35.
Yeah.
Slow.
So Milinkovic Savic, I feels like we've been linked with him for about 7 years. Like that just seems to have been going on forever. Yeah, Frankie de Jong sort of jumps out. I'm surprised at a couple of them that are out of contract. Let me just go back. Here we go. Bentancur, bit too injury prone, isn't he?
Yeah,
he gets caught on the ball sometimes as well whenever I watch him.
Neves, we just spoke about. Basuma just seems like he's got a lot of problems behind the scenes, doesn't he? Just seems like he's constantly causing shit. James Garner, Chivy would love that, wouldn't he? If we got Jimmy Garner back.
Do you know what? I speak to Alex, who's obviously an Everton fan, and he was like, he's been mid really for them.
Has he? Fair enough. Goretzka, decent, but is he what we need? I don't really know. Haidara, I know we got linked with him. I don't know much about him.
Ragnick, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Fabinho, God no. Kessie, again, don't know how good he is. I know he was rated when he was at Barca, but I don't know where he's at now.
It was.
Is it AC Milan? Yeah. Sorry. And then Pellegrini, he's getting on now, isn't he? Pellegrini. He was sort of rating and stuff. So yeah, I think De Jong, Neves would be the two I would look at personally. I think
Shreyas,
everybody else, I'm not sure.
Are you cherry picking anyone from that list?
I think probably the same ones that Sam mentioned, because apart from that, a lot of these players have moved to Saudi, and a lot of these players have been struggling when it comes to injuries or when it comes to performances. So De Jong definitely, comes in and elevates that midfield. I think Ruben Neves as well comes into this team and he elevates that midfield, because they bring a lot of technical ability, and on top of that they bring a lot of composure into that midfield, I would say. So, and with Ruben Neves having that sort of prime experience in the bank, gives you a lot more confidence than any other player from the Saudi league or any other player from Europe would do, because he knows the league inside out. He's played quite for quite some time at Wolves, so he knows the demands of the Prem. And again, the biggest issue is how you set this midfield up, even if you get Ruben Neves or Frenkie de Jong in, because I still remember when Tottenham signed Palhinha on loan, a lot of the people said that he's quite slow, he's this, he's that, not mobile, but it depends how you set these guys up. Right now, if you look at the midfield, how Thomas Frank has set that midfield up, Palhinha looks like one of the best defensive midfielders in the league, and he's been influencing every single game by quite a margin.
He was fantastic at Fulham before.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why people are going, oh, he's not good. Like, he was at Fulham. He was their best player. Like, it's ridiculous. Also, how pissed off would Ten Hag be if we got Frankie de Jong in? He'd be fucking furious.
Yeah. I suppose the better question is, would they actually come to United at this point? I mean, it's always United. There's always that
If
pull.
de Jong is available on a free, I would expect a whole lot of clubs in for him.
Even Man City themselves, I think, would probably the way Rodgers going at the minute. I mean, he can't seem to stay fit or stay on top of any injury.
If Bernardo Silva leaves on a free, that's an easy swap, that, isn't it? If Bernardo Silva leaves City, then you get Frankie de Jong. Like, that's an easy deal.
Yeah, 100%. What do we think, people in the chat? Please do leave a like on the video for us and subscribe to the channel. Sorry, I've missed quite a few comments. That's what we need, another slow midfielder. I don't know who he was referring to there.
Neves, I think.
Our wing-backs don't wing. They are supposed to advance with the ball and offer support, and there's none of that. It's simple. These players are not going to be good enough ever. Nothing wrong with counter-attacking football. It's what Real Madrid were doing under Ancelotti, bro, winning everything. Real Madrid were a bit more of a hybrid. Like, against the big teams, they would counter-attack, but then against smaller teams, they seem to dominate
Even
them.
if they did counter-attack against those small teams, it wasn't that, they don't know how to operate when they've got enough of the ball.
Yeah. I mean, even I would challenge people to say who has won something significant consistently playing counter-attacking football. I know people who have been close to the top, like Nuno obviously did really well with Nottingham Forest. I know sometimes Newcastle can be quite a transitional team.
Fergie is the only one, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, like, recently, has anyone really, you think about all the best teams in the world at the minute, like PSG, are they a counter-attacking team? No.
Ancelotti is probably the closest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is probably the closest one.
Yeah, you have to have an element where you can do everything. Liverpool are a perfect example of that. They can play electric counter-attacking football, but they can also dominate a team with possession. Yeah. They can also sit in and defend when they want.
City are normally very dominant in possession, the way they play and stuff like that. But you saw against Arsenal, they went on the counter, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like, they tried to pick them off on the counter, and I've never seen Pep do that before. So,
yeah. Dallo and Maz aren't wing backs, and Dorgu's still developing. Maz would be better in the double pivot or as a centre back who drops into midfield for support. The most successful period post Sir Alex was Ollie finishing second and third playing counter attacking. Bro, I'm not saying it's not, but he's also the only manager who didn't win anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, do you know what
it's
I'm saying?
Pick your poison, isn't it? It's like, do you want to have exciting football and finish top half but win nothing, or do you want to have a div start football and win trophies and it be a bit shit?
Yeah,
like, that's the choice.
I just said it. Tell me someone who's won something playing consistent counter-attacking football.
Yeah,
you find it hard. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
T2's just put Neves is as slow as a wet weekend. Leicester are the last team to win on the counter. Yeah, Premier League. Leicester City.
And they did it one season, and then, like I said earlier in the show, everybody works them out, and then didn't he almost go down the following year?
I think so. So there you have it. Yeah. We shall lead it at that, ladies and gentlemen. It's been 45-minute mark. Monday Night Football on tonight as well, people, don't forget. So I'll be watching a bit of football. Another team who's better than us in Everton. And I mean, West Ham aren't a fan of us either.
I was gonna say, did West Ham finish above us last year?
Yeah, it was close. Very close. So yeah, we'll be back again, same time tomorrow. More updates on Manchester United. For your usual news fix, head over to Instagram and X and drop us a follow over on there for minute-by-minute updates. And also for funny clips from the show, please do check us out on TikTok. Me, Sam, and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one.